Hey there, Aquarius. This is your Ascendant forecast taking you from Monday the 15th right the way through to Sunday the 21st of December 2025. Now, in this week ahead, we've got a lot of change. Mars is going into the sign of Capricorn. We've also got a new moon in Sagittarius in an alignment with the center of the galaxy. It's in a conjunction to the Galactic Centre. And then finally, we've also got the solstice. So the sun is going into the sign of Capricorn. And if you're in the northern hemisphere, you'll find that that you're going into winter. And if you're in the southern hemisphere, you're going into summer. On top of that, there's also the energy of squares. You know, there's 4 exact planet-to-planet squares in this week ahead. And each of those, I think, is really emphasizing that you're challenging yourself to move further and go deeper than you've ever gone before. Now, 2 of these squares are actually to Saturn, and Saturn's one of your ruling planets. You know, Saturn and Uranus are the 2 most important planets to you. And so Saturn is in a square to the sun and also to Venus. You'll really be feeling the energies of this. This is really bringing out some deep change. So what I'm going to do is pace you through the planetary weather over the week ahead and hopefully give you some insights that will be really useful. Anyway, if you're new to this channel, my name's Louisa. Welcome to Feel Good Astrology. I hope you enjoy this as we go through it. Bringing up my slides now, and just want to say a quick thank you to everybody that supports my channel in all the various ways you do. You're fabulous. Thank you so much. So I've got 2 charts. This is the first one, and you'll see at the beginning of the week ahead, the moon is just in the sign of Libra before going into Scorpio on the 15th, a little bit later on. And then you'll also see that we've got 4 planets in the sign of Sagittarius. By the end of this week, you'll see the moon has moved into the sign of Capricorn, right the way through these signs. Everything here is advanced, and the sun and Mars have both gone into the sign of Capricorn. Now, this is what's known as a whole sign Western tropical model that I'm using here. What that means is each of these houses, a house is one of these sections, has 1 sign in each of these sections. So this is your first house. We always count from 9 o'clock because we're looking at a clock face. So this is your first, your second, third, fourth, right the way through to the 12th house. So we've got energy from the 11th house moving into the 12th house. That's the big emphasis in this week ahead that we'll be talking about, or I'll be talking about and sharing with you. Now, just before we do get really started with this forecast, if when you look at your birth chart, you notice that you've got Aquarius, the symbol here, and also the symbol for Pisces in your first house, then it's also important to listen to the Pisces forecast. There's going to be a lot more in it that will really help you out. So anyway, Monday the 15th, then this is a whole list of what I see coming up, and you'll see that Monday through to Thursday, there's not that much going on, but it really looks like the bulk of the energetic shifts are happening on Saturday the 20th and into Sunday the 21st. So this looks like a kind of slow build up to the new moon on Saturday. Now, in terms of build up, it's interesting because we could also say it's like a slow wind down, because at this moment in time, you know, in this week ahead, the moon is actually in a waning moon phase, meaning it's getting smaller and smaller every day. And that's very much associated with us slowing down, calming down, needing more sleep, resting up, cleaning our system as much as possible. It's not a time to build and buy. This is a time to let go as much as you can and get as organized and internalized as possible. So anyway, Monday the 15th then, we've got the moon going into the sign of Scorpio up here in your 10th house. And we've also got Mars going into the sign of Capricorn in your 12th house. Now, Mars is super active. Now, he's not super active in the sign, you know, in the 12th house. You know, Mars is really not a kind of, he's not a huge fan of the 12th house. You know, Mars here it sometimes shows where our fears about vitality start to manifest. So it's really important that any kind of fears or insecurities or inner programs you've got running about you not having enough strength, about you not having enough courage or bravery or the ability to take action, that you let go of those as much as you can. Because funnily enough, Mars is very strong in the sign of Capricorn ordinarily. This is a time when we're slowly but surely taking action. And so if I was in your shoes, I think I would start taking really small little bits of action so that you don't freak yourself out, so that any little sort of insecurities that come up in the 12th house, they don't it's almost like, how can you game the energy of Mars in the 12th house? If Mars is bringing up insecurities that you're not going to have the energy, you're not going to be able to have the stamina to move forwards, then start taking small bits of action. The smaller, the better. Really important that you don't, you don't scare yourself and then have to retreat. So I just see that you're at the beginning of starting something really small that will grow slowly over time. And that's interesting as well, because the sign of Capricorn, it has a long-term vision, but it gives itself a really long lead up to it. So it's not expecting overnight success. It's expecting you to get from 0 to 60 in about 5 years. And it makes the change so slowly that it doesn't feel like you're actually changing. That's the kind of energy I'm talking about. There's just like one small action, one small, clean, clear action that you can take that is bringing your life back into balance. I think that would be well worth investing in right now. And especially if that's aligned to your career. Mars does rule your 10th house, which has a lot to do with your career, your standing in the world. So if you're wanting to take action to create a different career for yourself, it could be as simple as just committing to something really small, like a micro task, like learn, like read one page of a book a day, whatever it is that you do, just something small, something achievable, something that you're not going to fail at is important. And so the first couple of days, I don't see you doing too much, but I see you taking small, short, consistent actions. Now, given that we're coming up to Christmas or the holidays, whatever you call it, it's usually a very busy time for everyone. And usually people are running around trying to do 101 things, and often like trying to buy presents and fitting everything in. So again, I would either, if I was in your shoes, I think I would either let go of a lot of my expectations of myself and just say, okay, this is really important. That would be nice. It's not a must do or have to do. It's a would like to do. I would get rid of all the things that you really don't need to actually achieve, and then just focus on the absolute must do's, so that you get the things done, but you don't exhaust yourself. Managing your energy is important, because as you come into the Capricorn time, this is a time for you to retreat and find some mental release and relief. Like every story that we start, we have a hero, and it always starts in the first house. And the hero has a journey, and he's growing on his journey. He achieves his objective, and then after that, he kind of stops and reflects. And we're at the stopping and reflecting part of the story, where our hero is about to kind of release a load of stuff and then move forwards again on a new journey. And so we are coming into this Capricorn season. And from your perspective as an Aquarian ascendant person, really from the end of the week when the sun comes into Capricorn, and then over the next week, Venus will also come into Capricorn, you're coming into a time to not be running headlong into your new adventure, but to gradually make the shift from your current adventure into your next. So this is like the interval between Act 1 and Act 2. So yeah, that's another reason why it would be much better to take out anything that's going to stress you, and to focus on enrichment, to focus on space for you to relax and to feel relief, to focus on an enrichment, like to give yourself all of the conditions so that when you start your new story, you're feeling relaxed, refreshed, and raring to go. And that new story will be coming in, in the third week of January. So yeah, I would say you're coming into the time when it's time to relax and enjoy yourself, not to run around. Now, on Wednesday, the 17th, the sun is going to come into a square with Saturn. And this is interesting because this is a time of slowing down, right? And right now, these planets are in the 11th house, which is a highly social house. It's a place where we need to impress, where there's lots of friends, there's lots of people that, you're going to have quite high levels of visibility right now, especially seeing as the moon is just still in the 10th house, which is highly visible. And so it feels like there's a lot riding on your shoulders, your reputation. There's a lot of people that can see you right now. But then there's this sun square Saturn. So the sun is here, and it feels like there's a lot of people that you are almost performing to in order to make your money work. Saturn in the second house is really showing these expectations on earning money, making money. Of course, no one makes money unless they've got a minting press, but you're earning money, building your value according to other people. So it could be that you've got a lot of work related expectations on your shoulders right now at a time when you're trying to bring this to a close, and slightly slow down. Out of all the signs, I would say yours is the sign that could almost do with having 2 weeks off until the new year starts, and then you start again. So I do think there's a tension there on the 17th. And then the moon comes into the sign of Sagittarius on the 17th. That's Wednesday. And then the social aspects are still continuing. It feels like you have to attend to even more things. Maybe there's a Christmas do, a work do, a this, or that, and the other. And so again, you may well feel there's a lot of expectations on your shoulders to believe, to be in a certain way. Now, one of the things that's going to help you is really apparent around Thursday. To me, it feels like there's somebody, it might be a female that's helpful. Venus here is going into a trine with Chiron in the third house. It feels like there's almost a miraculous new connection that is coming from one of your existing connections. Maybe somebody close by, is setting you up beautifully for a great opportunity. But it feels like the friends, the networks, the connections to work-based people, and then the connections to useful people in your local community, they're all coming together. So yeah, you might be feeling a little bit busier than you want to be at a time when you're wanting to slow down, but there are still new opportunities coming in. So as we're hitting Saturday, the 20th, we've got the new moon in Sagittarius aligned with the Galactic Centre. It's in a very, very social part of your chart. And I think it's promising you that there's a whole new series of people to connect with, a whole new series of exciting things going on. And there's a real opportunity if you want to align to a particular global vision, if you've got an idea of something that you want to connect with, if you're looking for a particular tribe, if you want to meet like the top 10 business owners in the whole world or something, I just really think whatever you're putting your mind out there, in particular to do with new connections, to do with global visions, to do with your big vision for the future, to do with a great collaboration, could even be humanitarian, whatever it is that you're wanting to create out there. I really think that new moon, if with the right intentions, the right focus, I think it's getting you on the right path. Now, if you are a stepmom or a stepfather, you might also notice that stepchildren seem to be pretty much in your mind's eye right now, or right in front of you. Stepchildren are ruled by the 11th house as well. So this could be a good time for you to intend for a big shift in your relationship there. And thereafter, from the new moon, we're really coming into this Capricorn territory. The moon comes in here, Mars is already here, and you're just starting to say, oh my goodness, that was exhausting. I'm ready to put my feet up now. And then we've got these 4 squares just before the sun comes in here. So the first square is Mercury in a square to the north node and the south node. It's called a T-square. To me, what this is indicating is you've already sorted out how to talk about difficult things in your life and how to work through different expectations other people have, and to understand it at a financial level. Like, we're all interconnected, aren't we? We all share resources, more or less. I feel that you've got a really good understanding of how to get on with people in difficult situations, especially because you've got Pluto in your first house. I mean, that really does bring you into a completely new territory. But right now, Mercury is asking you to get really good at valuing yourself and how to talk about it, how to communicate about it with your new contacts. So you're being tasked karmically to not talk about trauma, but to talk about how you've learned and moved beyond trauma. Like, what have you learned and refined? That's what all your new contacts are looking for. Even if you're talking about work, what have you learned about work and how have you made it work? So in many respects, you're being tested right now to speak of your capacity and to speak of your capability. And that might not be very comfortable for you, but it's a change that's coming in. Then we've also got the Sun in a square to Neptune. Now, this is likely to bring up a feeling of confusion as to, like, who owns what, in a collaboration with the people you've been working with, in with all of your friends and things like that. Where does it start and where does it end? Like, what is your role socially right now? And in this square to Neptune, Neptune's in the second house, you might find that suddenly your financial role is just really murky. It's really hard to define. To me, what that's indicating is you're coming to the end of a story. Your role is changing, which is why you can't define it. And then over the next month, you're going to be going into a time of redefining your role, and your responsibilities will flow from that. So my advice is, don't take it too personally. Just recognize if you're feeling confused, it's because your role is changing. And of course, if you can remember that, it's going to be so much easier. Excuse me. Then we've also got Venus coming into a square with Saturn. Here, I think you're reminded of, so I've got a really dry throat suddenly. Here, you're reminded of, your social ability, how easy it is to connect with people and to start things. But in the square to Saturn, it feels like your ability to connect your social capability to your internal value is slightly jarring. Again, I think it's because your role in life is changing, and because it's changing, you can't quite see the value of it yet. And so because you can't see the value of it yet, you can't fully communicate it. Remember also, don't forget, you've got Pluto in your first house, which is really changing who you are. This isn't just like change from one job to another. This is like changing industry or changing your identity in such a significant way that when you look back at the end of your life, you'll say, that time there, that was when my life really started, or that was the time when I really shifted. Most of us will have a significant time where things really turned around. You're in one of these times right now. That's why this rest period that's coming up is going to be so important. So there's that going on. And finally, there's the Jupiter square Chiron. Now, Jupiter's currently in your sixth house, really showing where things have got so much busier for you in terms of your work and how you manage your day to day. Mostly, you've got quite hopeful about it and probably felt quite enthusiastic about it. However, it's still something to manage it. And you're managing it at a time when your role is changing and it's not entirely comfortable in your community right now. Like where you've changed and you've grown and you're busier, how do you manage it and manage your friendships and manage your connections and resources? Is a lot to juggle around. And so out of all the signs that I've already read, apart from Pisces, in terms of coming up to this Capricorn time as we go into the December solstice, I think this week ahead is in recognizing just how far the story of your role and your job and the connections and the interrelatedness of it all is going, and you've got responsibilities to everyone around you, and yet you know you're changing. And how do you match that? How do you make that work? So what I'm really seeing is this week is about recognizing you're changing, and then reintegrating that knowledge into how you are with your networks, your friends, your connections. There's a lot of people that want to support you right now. And of course, it's much easier to support somebody when you can really see their vision. So in many respects, this week ahead is about clarifying your vision, because from your vision, you'll know your role and your purpose, and from that it will all flow. So to circle back to the new moon and this portal between the 20th to the 21st, I think it's about you getting a clearer vision. And if you focus on getting the clearest vision, everything will fall into place from there. My final thoughts, this conjunction with the Galactic Centre, it's aligned with the galactic astrological approach. Now, I had a conversation with Tressa Grealish from Goddess Inspire. It's a channel on YouTube. And we were talking about 3i Atlas, which just so happens to be the closest to Earth right now. And he, or it, 3i Atlas is going to be the closest to Earth on the 19th of December. So we've got the 19th, 20th, 21st. It feels like we're going through a big shift in our consciousness. Given that Pluto is in your first house right now, really showing that you're playing with power in a new way, and that all this stuff is going on, I think there's a really fresh new feel that's coming in for you, unlike anything you've experienced. Now, I'm going to be publishing my conversation with Tressa in the week ahead. There's going to be some information there for Aquarian ascendants and how to use this from a galactic approach. So if that sounds like something you want, then look out for that. Final thoughts then. If you like the way I do astrology, then just sign up to my free school community. Just scan that QR code above my head, and it will take you to the app for school. It's skool.com, school, /Feel Good Astrology. There I put my forecasts. There's Monday to Friday forecasts, relationship and connection forecasts, ambition, career and money forecasts. It's all there for free. I'm just opening it up for you. And there's really nice people that you can chat about astrology with in there. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in, then just get in touch. Also, from January next year, I'm going to be teaching 3 terms and a summer school all about the basics of astrology from start right the way through. And I'm going to keep teaching until I feel like I can't teach anymore. I mean, this is a process for me as well. So if you're interested in that, then again, get in touch via school. I'll be really happy to welcome you aboard. But anyway, have a beautiful week ahead, and catch up with you real soon. Happy envisioning. Bye for now.